Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. We're live. This is the Belizean Affairs Show number 377. 377. We're glad and also happy that you have taken your valuable time to grace us with your presence, those of you who will be listening to us live, and also those who will be listening afterwards at your own convenience. Tonight being Friday, we'll go back to our regular Friday effort to deal with some of the constitutional matters in regards to the proposed amendments to the Constitution based on some of the recommendation by the PCC Commission. Uh, Before we get into the rest of the program, we will do our regular formalities. That is that we do a short prayer, after which we do a short scripture reading, and then we attack the program. So bear with us as we go through our preliminaries, and I'll just bow my head. I'll be your chairman for tonight, being Friday. I'll bow my head and say a short prayer, and I'll then yield to Mr. Roody Wade, our next senior panelist, who will grace us with the scripture reading. I'll bow my head first. Divine loving Father, once again we come before thy presence, asking that thou would accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness for having given us the privilege of life, first and foremost. And secondly, for granting us the opportunity to still be alive today among our family members, friends, and loved ones. We pray that thou mayest bless our country of Belize, its people and leadership, and that thou would also bless this country of the United States, its people and leadership, and that thou would continue to abide with the rest of humanity. Please have mercy upon those who have need of food and clothes and shelter. Please provide for them. And those who are in dangerous areas, where wars, hurricanes, and tornadoes and earthquakes and storms and flooding, please assist, loving Father. This is based our program tonight, that it may be some important and positive public benefit to our people at home and abroad. Please continue to abide with us, for us in mercies in Jesus' name. Amen. Are you, Mr. Wade?
Thank you. Thank you, Leonard, for that warm prayer.
You're welcome, sir.
Country and the world need prayer. And it's a pleasure to sit in your company once more, Mr. Chairman. And because, tomorrow is promised to no one. And, all the ills that's going on in the world and in this country of Belize. Glad to be here along with you, Mr. Chairman. And
Thank you very much, too, sir.
I will do a reading from 1 Timothy chapter 6, 1 to 10. And it reads, let all who are under a yoke as slaves regard their own masters as worthy of all honor, so that the name of God and the teaching may not be reviled. Those who have believing masters must not be disrespectful
Amen.
on the ground that they are brothers. Rather, they must serve all the better, since those who benefit by their good service are believers and beloved. Teach and urge these things. If anyone teaches a different doctrine and does not agree with the sound words of our Lord Jesus Christ, and the teaching that accords with godliness. He is puffed up with conceit and understands nothing. He has an unhealthy craving for controversy and for quarrels about words which produce envy, decisions, slanders, evil suspicions, and constant friction among people who are deprived in the mind and deprived on the truth. Imagine that godliness is a means of gain. Now, there is great gain in godliness with contentment, for we brought nothing into the world, and we cannot take anything out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. But those who desire to be rich fall into temptation, into a snare, into many senseless and harmful desire that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. It is though his craving that some, it is true, his craving that some have wandered away from faith and pierced themselves with many prongs. That's my reading, Mr. Chairman, from 1 Timothy chapter 6, 1 to 10.
Thank you
You,
very much.
sir?
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade, for your wonderful reading and your choice of text for the night.
Thank you.
Um, I'm just trying to locate here some of the material that I need for tonight's program. I'm trying to get to the electronic copy of my Belize institution, and I really found part of the subject matter that we're going to deal with, the particular subject matter. But I'm trying to find a copy of the Constitution so we can make sure that I read from the Constitution while I'm presenting this material, so people don't think that I'm just saying words out the top of my head or from inside of my head. No, just bear with me for a second. Mr. Wade, would you
Yes,
care
sir.
to give us a short advisory, sir, in regards to the holiday season? And
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Again, to our Belizean Affairs show, number 377. Again, once more, I stress on the importance of celebrating responsibly. We are in the festive season, so please celebrate with loved ones and friends responsibly, and not to mention the constant mayhem on the highways, these fatalities. Be very mindful of the highways because they are in deplorable situation. For those of us who knows the country, who traverse the country, today there was a accident there in the S curve in the village of T Kettle.
yeah,
Big semi tractor on this S curve because when you reach that destination you got to go very slow around that curve because it's like an S. So I can't see how in the hell of it that a big semi truck or trailer would have that kind of accident. I would say any driver in their right frame of mind approaching that area, they should approach with caution, and especially, a semi. Okay, so I mean, I cannot say maybe something gave way, maybe he wasn't at fault, but I'm just saying on a regular perspective, that's how you want to do that in a right frame of mind, or maybe he's under something that didn't see that S curve, but S is an S, and any like I say so. Um, there's a lot of accidents happening on a daily basis. A lot of robberies. I call on the expatriate who return back home. To enjoy themselves. Be very mindful because there are some group of criminals around. Seems that they target people that's migrating back in Belize, and you see it happen all the time, and sometimes it end up with fatalities, with murder, right? So I just like to say, coming back, living in Belize or visiting, be very mindful of your surrounding and who you're associating yourself with. As what I'm talking is what the occurrence is that is happening in Belize. So be very mindful. Um, a lot of heinous crimes have been committing, right? Double murders, robberies on the increase, especially in this time, in this festive time. They prey on the vulnerable. So be very mindful and take care and celebrate responsibly. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much for that gracious um, recommendation, sir. Because things are happening sometimes when people provide for it, and even when they don't provide for it. And it's a pity that you know people are not considerate of each other. You know, everybody's just about themselves, and that makes the festive occasion a bit more stressful to others. But for tonight, I want to speak or go back to something that we had undertaken in the past. That is that the prime minister decided that after he got elected the first time as prime minister, he was going. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I just had a message on my screen saying that Mr. Gregory Brackett had entered, but he can put himself on when he's ready.
Yes,
He's
sir.
our senior uh, engineer, and uh, you know, I will not demur anymore. I'll just continue on forward and say that the prime minister, after he had gotten elected to become prime minister the first time, undertook a venture, which I see we have a very festive, beautiful new background now too, thanks to Mr. Gregory Brackett, our senior
Yeah.
engineer. He's gracious with a complimentary Christmas occasion
Thank you.
background. So um, I guess he's gonna come in any minute now, and whenever he comes in, we'll just let him have his time to, introduce himself. But right now, he's probably in the middle of something else. So let me not disturb, and let me move forward a little bit. As I was saying, the prime minister, after he got elected and became prime minister in the previous term, he undertook an agenda that the Belizean people had not been appraised of. He did not tell the people that that's the basis on which he wanted to be elected, so that he can use the powers vested in him to undertake the mission to haul and pull for we constitution, basically, for another way of expressing it. Before he undertook that endeavor, he should have made it a public affair for the people to decide whether or not they wanted him to undertake that particular endeavor, and or whether or not they were interested in changing their constitution wholesale, the way it turned out that they are recommending now they want to do. And he arbitrarily and capriciously put together a commission to help him pursue that objective. That is that he hid behind this commission that he put together so that it will appear that it's the people in this commission who are leading that agenda, and it is the people that that commission interacts with in the society that will be giving the commission the go ahead to make the changes that they will recommend to the prime minister, that the prime minister should take to cabinet and recommend for the legislator to pass laws to alter our constitution. Nobody asked him to do that, at least that I'm aware of. There was no group of people in the society, voters specifically. There was not like 50% plus one of the population of the country that clamored to eviscerate and abandon or get rid of our constitution so that the elected officials then can become judge, jury, and executioner all in one, and or that they could then become legislative, executive, and judiciary. Because that is basically, for all intents and purposes, what they end up trying to put forward as a recommendation to be passed into law to eviscerate our current constitution and come up with the new constitution that will allow them to run our country as a think and dictator country. Nobody authorized them to do that. Nobody asked them to do that. And as much as they have said that, okay, well, they're going to take it to the public at some point for a plebiscite or a referendum, they also put in the legislation that they wrote initially to empower that commission, the PCC commission. They put in that legislation that if the PCC doesn't give them enough material to work with that justifies them, you know, taking the matter to the or to have a plebiscite, that they will just go ahead and use their legislative mandate to alter the laws as they see fit. In the beginning, they bamboozled the people. Midway down the journey, they bamboozled the people. Coming up to the end of their effort, they're still bamboozling the people. They have no honor, no dignity. They have no true faith, or they're not holding allegiance to the Constitution or giving the people their rights. They want to have new laws that empowers them to become, like I said earlier, the head of state. They don't like the idea that currently the head of state is not themselves. They want to grasp that power away from the head of state. If they have to commit sedition, so be it. But they're not the ones putting themselves on the front of the line to go and commit the sedition. They're trying to bamboozle their way through the process and put the public up front to commit that sedition on their behalf so that they can garner the powers and then turn around and use those powers against us the same way they are doing now and even probably worse. But instead of just verbalize and preach through the whole of the presentation, let me go to some of the material. I'm going to be reading from the People's Constitution Commission recommendations. And I'm going to be reading about emergency powers as regards to recommendation number 53, which states amend the Constitution to expand and make provisions for public emergencies. That is, at 53.1, they want to remove the terms outbreak of infectious diseases, which is one of the criteria or categories that the Constitution grants the government the authority to seek uh, an emergency order from the Governor General to deal with this particular matter. Outbreak of infectious diseases as being one of the conditions from Section 18 of the Constitution, subsection 3, and paragraph A, as well as 53 2, where it says, add the term prevention of outbreak of infectious diseases in Section 18.3b, and by making those two changes, they're, for all intents and purposes, determining that prevention of outbreak of infectious disease should replace outbreak of infectious diseases. That's like you're repeating yourself, just adding extra words to basically say the one and same thing. But I think I mentioned earlier in part of the previous presentation on these matters to say that there are certain things that these rascals wanting to take out of our constitution, but instead of going directly to those particular items, they're adding up a whole lot of other stuff and making the changes that they want to make seem like it's so much of a big change that they want to make. And they add all these extra extraneous things that have nothing to do with their main target, just as extra reading material and extra, effort, basically to swamp the people so that the people are not able to easily figure out what is it that they're after and what is it that they're trying to do. They conflate, they inflate, and they bamboozle. So why would they have taken any time and effort to make? Oh, shucks. Oh man. Oh, yeah. Oh, literally, I messed up. Yeah. I turned the, I turned my thing sideways just now, and it just went haywire, and the part that I was reading at disappeared. So I gotta go back and find it. Just give me a second here. That's part two, fundamental rights. No. Um, okay. I just need to go a little further up with the. I was at 53, I think it was. Yeah, I'm at 48 now, so I'm right on. I'm almost there. Just give me a couple more seconds, please. 51. Okay. 53. Let's see. 52 and 53. Yeah, emergency powers. That's where I was. And I had it turned sideways for legibility purposes. And while I was commenting, my hand switched around, and the whole thing just went crazy. Okay, so it says Section 18.3 should be amended to read as follows. Paragraph A, strengthen or raise the trigger mechanism for public emergency. And B, include a provision or a proviso that precludes the state from relying on the occurrences of offenses in domestic legislation in and of itself to justify imposing a state of emergency. I'll read on to subsection 3 that says that the trigger mechanism for section 8, 18.3b should be amended so that cabinet or the body of the cabinet must apply the high court Uh, Greg, would you want to take your time to introduce yourself, sir? Thank you again for the new background. Huh?
Okay.
Please proceed to. I yield to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're
Good
welcome.
night to you guys.
Good
The
night. Good night,
greeting
Greg. Good night. Good
to
night.
one and all.
Good night.
Good night to the people at home and abroad. Thanking you for tuning in to this, the 377th edition of Belizean Affairs. Mr. Chairman, with that said, please give me the opportunity to do this, sir.
Pretty paper, pretty ribbons of blue. Wrap your present to your darling from you. Pretty pencils to write I love you. Pretty paper, pretty ribbons of blue. Crowded streets, busy feet, just to buy him. Downtown shoppers, Christmas night. There he sits, all alone on the sidewalk, hoping you won't pass him by. Should you stop when you're not much too busy? In a hurry, my how time does fly. And in the distance, the ringing of laughter. And in the midst of the laughter, he cried. Pretty paper, pretty ribbon blue. Wrap your presents to your darling from you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, put us in the spirit, festive spirit. Again, I was dealing with some of the PCC recommendations, and I started out at number 53 for tonight, and I dealt with where it speaks about um, removing some parts of section 18.3 A and B, and we were reading how they had it spelled out here that they want to address this matter. As in regards to section paragraph B, it says include a proviso that precludes the state from relying on the occurrences of offenses in domestic legislation in and of itself to justify imposition of state of emergencies. That is that they want now for the minister to decide if and when they want to declare a state of emergency without having anybody, such as the Governor General or anyone else, to lord over them to demand that they abide by the Constitution. They want the Constitution to come out of their head at any given time. And as ministers, that they can, without any authority in the Constitution, if they abolish this particular section, for them to arbitrarily and capriciously make that determination on their own. Uh, it goes on to say that the trigger mechanism for section 18, subsection 3, paragraph B, should be amended to provide that cabinet minister, as I indicated earlier in my general statement, or the body of cabinet must apply to the High Court to a judge in chamber for an order that the state body, etc., has satisfied the conditions that the state of emergency does exist, which triggers the imposition of a state of emergency. As compared to right now, what we have, if they want to declare a state of emergency currently, they have to abide by Section 18.3, which says that they cannot issue a state of emergency if they don't meet certain criteria. Only on that condition then can they go to the Governor General and ask for an extension of declaration of state of emergency. They want to be able to do that now without having to go to the Governor General, to go to a judge who they appoint to rubber stamp their arbitrary and capricious decisions. Remember now, after these things go into effect, there will be no Governor General. And the head of state, for all intents and purposes, will then become the Prime Minister. They don't call him the head of state, they call him the Prime Minister. But as we move along this trajectory and we become the future Republic of Belize, the head of state then will at that point be someone local and elected, just like in the republics. And that head of state will not be accountable to anyone, because that head of state will lord over cabinet. And normally, if you have a head of state or a president, for example, instead of a prime minister, you'll have a prime minister replacing the head of state and or the governor general. And that head of state will authorize who becomes then not the governor general, but the prime minister. And that prime minister will operate at the behest of the then new head of state under the category or title of president. So if everybody is paying attention, or those who are paying attention and following these presentations would notice, it's a power grab. The attempt to amend and modify our constitution is to grab power. Simple, basic. It has nothing to do with some of these other things, as I had mentioned earlier, where they're putting all these extra things to put in there to cloud the mind of the people so that the people don't focus on the real game plan. And they have hundreds and hundreds of these recommendations. When in fact they could have done what they were trying to do by just presenting a smally 20-page document with probably, maybe 40, 50 recommendations, or maybe less than 50, probably more closer to 40. And let the people be able to see exactly what is it that they're after. And let the people say, okay, well, yes or no. Or let the people decide, okay, well, yes, this piece we agree with, that piece we don't agree with, as they move along. But they want a big ball of wax for the people to be the people to get confused over, and they will come, if they are forced at the end of the day to have a plebiscite or a referendum, they won't put the whole of this material on the ballot. They will come with a few questions, probably 3, 4, 5 questions, and ask you yes or no on those particular questions. When in fact, it's the whole damn constitution they are trying to eviscerate. There's one other little part here that I would like to read off before I go to my colleagues on the panel. It says the court should have regards to and access Section 18.9 paragraph A, B, and C, when granting such an order. So you can see that they are telling the court what the court can decide or what the court can agree with and how the court can determine. They're setting the foundations. They're setting the words in the judge's mouth. It's not going to be an independent judiciary as we now currently understand it to be. The judiciary will function as a not a branch. It wouldn't be a branch. It will function as a I don't know. I'm not be able to bring the words right now, but I'm
as a kangaroo court.
basically because they are directing to the court under this circumstance here what the court should say and shouldn't say based on 189 A, B, and C, which they are already correcting and putting in words here. As compared to right now, they can't go and tell the court what is legal or not legal because it is not the prerogative of the executive to interpret law or the constitution. It is not their prerogative at the legislative body for them to determine the laws that they make, whether or not it is legal. That's the prerogative of the court. They are authorized to make the court. The court is, they are authorized to make the laws, and the court is empowered to interpret those laws and deem them or classify them whether legitimately, legally, lawful, or constitutional. That's the prerogative of the court. But like I said earlier in part of the previous presentation, they also want to trump the court. The court cannot have any independence as it currently supposed to exist under the separation of powers of our country, the way it is currently governed or should be currently governed. So I would have liked to read a little bit more of this material, but sometimes, for individuals who are not familiar with the court itself, how it works, for individuals who are not familiar with the separation of powers doctrines, for individuals who are not familiar with law and legal practices and procedures and protocols, sometimes they hear these words being read off as I'm doing them here now. And from the time the beginning of the first word is uttered until the last sentence is stated, people get lost because they're not, not everybody are in the same state or station in life. But before I move any further forward, I would like to solicit Mr. Greg Brackett's input in regards to these matters that I was discussing just now, and I'll come to you in a little while, Mr. Greg.
Mr.
Greg,
Chairman, kindly go to Mr. Wade first
yes,
so
but
I
I need,
can do an overall
yeah,
from
but
what you said and what Mr. Wade
I
is
was trying,
about to say.
I was trying to provide the legal texts that I read and
Yes, I will do that, sir.
and my commentary, and then bolster what I was saying with whatever comments that you might have and any other legal citation that you may have had, so that Mr. Wade could derive the benefits of the legalities of what is it we're discussing behind the scene, for him to be able to give us, uh,
His
you know,
opinion. Okay, let me do that then.
yeah,
I
I was just,
want to say this,
sorry,
right?
I'm sorry, I was talking over you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I want to say this to you, the people at home and abroad, and I will break this down as much as I can. The key thing here, even though the government is working on it with intent to change our constitution, even though the government has went out and did not do enough to let the people, or should I say the citizens of Belize, know what they are about to or what they want to do to really enlighten the Belizean people and the Constitution. All they have been doing is trying to secure the ideals and fundamentals that they want to replace the present Constitution with. But I want to say this to them with all the recommendations and all the talking, all the tongue meeting they have to remember one thing. Section 2 of the Constitution and Section 3 through 21, which is our fundamental right, with Section 21 as the guardian of our fundamental rights. And why am I saying this? I'm specifically saying this because the Constitution protects itself. And it says any other law that is inconsistent with it will be null and void. So all these outings, all these recommendations
Yeah,
has
but
no power until you can have a referendum and the people say we want to get rid of the present constitution. And to my honest belief, I don't see that happening, especially with what is happening in this country right now as
mhm,
we speak. So, as we can see, it is in a limbo. They have tried to use it as though Belize had two constitutions by implementing that the PCC Act also have a referendum upcoming from a ghost attorney general
mhm,
who has to be representing in a redistrict case by someone else and from the prime minister himself. There is no such thing as the PCC Act also have a referendum act. Belize only have one constitution,
okay.
people at home and abroad, and the only way to replace it is through a referendum. The people of this country decide they want to move away from being a democratic country with a parliamentary democracy and to go republic. I don't think they want to give up that right. That is my belief
It's
based on everything that is happening.
not only
Go
just
ahead, Mr. Chairman.
not only just to go republic, but to go to a dictatorial republic, to a one-man rule republic, to a situation where the people, once the one man gets the authority, that authority, the people cannot expect to be used on their behalf, as is currently happening in Belize. The authority vested in the prime minister from the governor general currently allows the prime minister to do his job on behalf of the people of Belize. But he is doing a job on behalf of foreigners and on behalf of himself and his family. He's taking our money and buying his family company and then turn around and invest that same money back into buying shares in the company, therefore privatizing BTL. That's the scam that they're trying to run, but they're not explaining that to the people while they're doing it out of our money. That's grand theft.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead,
as you rightfully say, sir, it's the same thing as I'm discussing this. They no time come to the people and ask the people for their input. It's the same thing with the buying over of the hydro dam from Fortis.
mm-hmm.
Because you know what is happening, the Prime Minister is saying he wants to encourage Belizeans to buying it to get shares. But you know what this is telling me?
Belizeans, Mr. Brackett, which Belizeans who can't even afford one ramen right now could buy any shares in any of these things? He's talking about himself and his colleagues. how to launder money by taking those assets that belong to the government and or private assets, buying it onto themselves. That's the name of the current game going on in the country.
But Mr. Chairman, what he's stipulating about Belizean bank shares is leading me to believe that he don't have the money to pay for it. And by people inputting shares and in the private sector, they will come up with the full money to pay for it. Then you might not even see anything as dividends on your money that you put in because it will take a while.
We've
And you
been
know what?
we've been down that
This
road
to
before.
me,
That's rough,
Mr. Chairman,
sir.
what is not being said is this. We hear all about this good deal and what it can do, but nobody is speaking about the structure which have a cost in it. What if a good hurricane or a good storm comes and the water pushes against it? Nobody wants to speak about that. There's only spilling the narrative in one direction, but not in that direction.
I recall, Mr. Brackett, sorry for interjecting and speaking over you, sir, but I recall that I recall reading some documents a while back about that those dams that are being built up there in the Coyote area, that they did not do a proper assessment, and they did not find out until after the fact, if they ever did, that there were micro cracks, earthquakes, small earthquake uh, uh, up there in that area. That had they known that before, or had they done their studies in depth enough, they may not have built those dams up there. It's not going to happen probably in the near future, but like with earthquake, it can happen just about any time.
That is correct.
If those dams get cracked or something happened to them, you know what kind of hell those people below that dam going to suffer? We know what top gallon flood used to be in Belize, how the Roaring Creek Bridge used to disappear underneath the river. The Hawksworth Bridge used to disappear under the river. Okay? Imagine with those, and that's because we never had those dams back there holding all the extra water. Imagine if we had those dams break right now, or crack, and let loose. You know the devastation they will have from where those dams are all the way to Belize City?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
But
But I was saying, all this talk about the PCC Act to me is ludicrous because in order to be successful at that, you must first cross the horse or you might fall off the horse because you must do a referendum.
thank you very much, sir. And I go to you, Mr. Wade. It's good time and good point for you to grace us with some of your input now.
Thank you. Again, it's a pleasure to sit in your company, Greg and Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
The pleasure is ours, too, sir.
I want to say that this that we are talking about is nothing new.
Hmm.
We've been talking about this for a couple of years now, 3, 4 years now. This since they first initiated this change that they want to change our constitution, and the world and the Belizean people saw how they initiate that.
Mr. Wade, have me an excuse, sir,
Go ahead, sir.
but I want to say this based on what you said. How long have we been talking about the illegal SOEs? Until now, see what happened? They cannot even call any because it is hung around their neck.
Well, the good chairman said that he will not stop until all of them get a a gold medal around their neck, no? So he will hang the Constitution around their neck. But this is for again public consumption. We see it plays out. When the news first break, I saw three individuals sat on Plus TV. That's several months ago. In presence Mr. Chanona, PUP operative, and young attorney. I don't even know his name, and another female. But they both had conflicting argument. It seems that none of them knew what their assignment was properly, right? I'm pretty sure that Briseno gave them an assignment, but they had conflicting argument. That's what I heard on Plus TV. When
Mr.
I
Soviet,
so
I hope that Mr. Bishano don't go and tell them poor people after they do so much work. I really that they never understood their assignment. Like what you do is Java Shovits.
so you saw how that part of it played out,
Tom Jones, man.
and then from educating the people about their rights and the Constitution, it went to consultation. So they X out that you didn't hear anything more about educating about their rights.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things had happening while they say educate people about their rights, because they're conscious that they have been derogating the rights of the Belizean people through illegal SOEs.
Right.
And a lot of other outside entity was flagging Belize about doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get into that, but so we see how that scenario plays out. And then you saw what they say, well, they had their agenda. You mentioned, Mr. Chairman, we've been mentioning it for months and months, a couple of years now, about turning Belize into a republic. These suckers, they're not satisfied with being a prime minister, or no, they want a higher power, and someone want to be the first president.
Mm-hmm.
President, because when you have a republic, you jump from prime minister to president. But they're conscious, these fools, they're not so fool. They're conscious that they have a roadblock by the Constitution. The Constitution, they block them for outrightly doing what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So they have smart attorneys, within them, very, very smart ones. So, we got to work on this and work on that, and then, let's tell them a lie again. We'll consult the people, and even people in the diaspora, and they know damn well that the people in the diaspora cannot vote. Okay? But you see, at the end of the day, see what they did, okay? We got to shiver ties from British, We got to shiver ties. You hear Cordell Hyde talk about new identity, man. We tired. We want a new identity. And then, if that guy could only listen to himself, right? Then, right? But anyway, you see how that scenario played out, Mr. Chairman and Greg, and you see how they slowly slipping now, and now we're back. We're into consultation now. And we will visit every nick and cranny and the villages and everybody, and then people in all their little mud hole and all, and we bring away educate them about our Constitution. Now we see how that played out. Some of these town hall meetings have 15, 20 people and 10 people, and and they all understand their assignment and thing, and you see how that played out. I know, they wanted more time, and when you look, the Orozco guy, he haul out because so and so happened, and this and that, and whole lot of thing with him. And then you see a lot of things start to happen, and they wanted more time, and they don't got no much money, and they lots of more money to Mr. Chanona and his group, and then we see how that played out. And then now Mr. Chanona, after all that little scenario played out, he came up with this Bible. And like Johnny Briseño said, and after Chanona do all this, he will come to me with the Bible, and then I will packet it, and I will read it, and I will packet it, and I will sit on it, and then I'll present it to cabinet.
which they are currently
And
doing.
from their very same mouth. So you see how that played out. Chanona got that nice little Bible in his own words, and conflate words and take away words, and what Constitution clearly says. And you says that anything inconsistent with the Constitution is null and void. But these suckers, they do not care about that.
Hmm.
Now, you guys might think different, but this is the way I feel. These guys have an agenda, and they will push through their agenda because no one can stop them. Not the Constitution, not what we rumble, and no, because we see how these guys are operating. They are power drunk, and you talk about where you and we always talk about, you know have a plebiscite. These guys don't care about that. That's how I feel.
I don't think they will ever do any.
They will not come to the belief. And he promised, he said, yes, the people will decide. Now, what I think, this is only me, with that Bible he got from Chanona, he's sitting on it. Okay, what he will do, he will tear that up, flush that. Because he and his minion already sat down and know exactly what they want and the outcome that they want. But then they use the people consultation and say, you know what? We had consulted the people, and
Hmm.
this is what we come up with, and this is what it is. And they were lying. They said,
And,
this is what the
and
people said.
the people elected them, so they could go ahead and do what
Right?
they want according to
So they
them.
will do that, and then they will present it to the people. This
Don't be.
is done deal. They will not come and say, you know what? On the next election, we will include on the ballot, do you want Belize to go republic? Yes or no? They know they will lose that damn deal there, so they will not even put that to the Belizean people. That's how I think. I may be wrong. So it's all about power. It's all about using the people to get what they want, and it's so sad that they will get what they want, and the Belizean people were left with their hands on their jaw, and at the end of the day, they will have to live with it. That's how I feel, and I just hope and pray that sooner or later, Mr. Chairman and Greg, that this man Johnny Briseño on his I don't want before on call an emergency meeting before the end of 2025 and says, my people, remember the constitutional change. Here it is, and just read it out to the nation. I beg him to do that because he know damn well already they already have that padded down what they want to do to the Belizean people and do to Belize. So I'll say no more on that. I'll say no more on that. You see how, and lastly, you see how, oh yeah, we will do redistricting in 2026. That's what came from his mouth. They will do redistricting. You see when it started from 2012, and we see how everything played out. And now he says 2026. Do you believe that, man? Say no more. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Wade and Mr. Chairman, I want to say
Go right ahead, sir.
yes on what you said, Mr. Wade. They didn't come with a plebiscite for the PCC Act, and you can recall how they wanted to do the marijuana bill in the House.
Hmm.
But as you can see, Belizeans are wide awake. They thought they could go to Pikaka and light a fire, but you saw what the people said.
Chase them out of there, out of there with that.
And I believe that is why they are afraid. Because I can say this, if the Prime Minister would have a referendum today and the PCC Act,
Lose.
they will lose.
So it's too how we feel that way. I don't know if I feel that way.
Well,
And this is exactly why I'm saying that
uh,
the
All
13th
right.
Amendment,
uh,
bastardization of the Constitution,
uh,
trying to take Section 18.3 that is placed in there for emergency and the emergency powers and using it to do illegal state of emergency. We told them it would happen and
and
they
the
were
and the
in the
judge told
water.
them too, Mr. Brackett. The judge told
Mhm.
them too exactly what we had told them, but they didn't listen to what we had to say because we don't have um super majority in the House of Representatives to back us up. They have that, but they still can't go beyond what the law prescribes. The Constitution is still supreme law of the land, and until they can get past that, or until they can bamboozle enough of the people to go along with that, you know, they will continue going around in circles. Uh, I want to read here another part, recommendations number 55, which says amend to remove Governor General's powers. Now, why do we want to remove the Governor General powers? Somebody got to perform those functions in our kind of democracy. Or am I missing something? No, I'm just trying to be funny. Under recommendation number 55, it says replace the Governor General's functions in emergency powers uh, with Prime Minister powers and the National Assembly. That is to say, the Prime Minister is going to dictate to the National Assembly what laws the National Assembly should vote on. Or in other words, the ascension of powers will come to the Prime Minister now, not to the Governor General. Because according to them here, they want that to be removed. So they are going to take their supermajority in the House and make an other law, more properly or aptly described as a bastardization of the Constitution, or a bogus law, or as Section 2 of the Constitution describes it, other law, which the Constitution says if any other law is inconsistent with the Constitution, that other law, for all intents and purposes, is null and void. In other words, it's unconstitutional. It did not miss constitutional muster. And until it can be declared as a constitutionally, legally, and lawful law, it's just another piece of paper with some, ink on it. It does not carry the force of law. It cannot trump the Constitution. Okay, if all 100% of them get together and make a bastardized law, which is unconstitutional, which is null and void, it cannot trump the Constitution. And that is their problem.
Have me an excuse, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, sir.
It's really throwing down right now.
Go ahead, sir.
No, I had to step away for a bit because it's really pouring down.
No, I understand. I thought maybe you would have had something else to add to what we were discussing before you stepped off, no? And I was thinking that maybe we should go ahead and grace us with that additional input. Otherwise, I'll just proceed further.
Well, it's plain to see what they are trying to do because we discussed it. We here in Belizean affair, we have foresighted into everything they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
We can go back over 326 recordings and everything we say, 90,
99.9% target.
that is correct. That is correct, you know. And it's so sad that we can see to it because As we always say here on this show, they always do what?
Tell on
Tell on
themselves on each
themselves.
other.
And they think people will not go back over those tapes and listen. But then you see exactly what's going on. I go back to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Wade, would you like to
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
comment
Go ahead.
further? Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll just go ahead then, and we're dealing with Section 55. Well, we dealt with Section 55 just now. That was the last item, uh, which was the proposal for them to eviscerate, you know, amend to remove Governor General powers. And now we're going to go to uh, recommendation number 56, which says amendment for removal of Her Majesty's council in council. So even the head of state, as I previously stated, they want to eviscerate or they want to get rid of. Is that the so that they can one of them can inherit that right and authority and power to be vested in them? How are they going to transfer that power or get that power vested in them? The only way for them to do that is to overthrow the current state of affairs or the powers of state that currently prevails. They don't explain that to the people that that's what they want to do, but they're hoping to get the people to go and commit the dirty deed for them. I'm still alive, and I know there are many others like myself.
It
So they're
started
having,
already.
so they're having a problem, and they will continue to have problems because they're not honest enough to come up front and have a upfront debate on the matter, give the people the benefit of the doubt in terms of recognizing what is it that they are trying to propose or trying to get done, and hopefully get the acquiescence or the support of the people. Because what they want to do could be done easily, rather than the kind of rascal way that they're trying to do it. You know, they're just making the whole process harder for themselves. Give the people their due respect and consideration. Operate in good faith on behalf of the people and with the people. Stop being shysters, you know. Stop being scoundrels. The Belizean people are not as dotish as they are being made out to be. Just have faith. Be strong in your conviction and take it to the people and let the people decide. Don't try to ram it down the people in throat and tell the people, well, they have already elected you, so whatever you decide to do now has to be accepted. The current laws of the land doesn't authorize that right and power on you. There are some powers that are still vested in the people, besides the powers vested in the Constitution. So you have to come to the people with a referendum and a plebiscite to let them decide if they're in agreement with what you're proposing or want to do. Because politicians comes and go, but the country is supposed to remain. And if they do such harm to the country as to eviscerate the current constitution and don't put one that the people are inclined to follow or go along with, it means that everything else is going to fall apart thereafter. But these guys don't care because that's not their agenda. It's not about governance, much less good governance. It's about the big hustle. What kind of state asset they can appropriate unto themselves, their family, and their cronies or friends. That's what it's all about. Look at BPL, look at the Belize Sport, look at Portico, look at State Bank, look at the sugar industry, look at the laws that they made to exempt themselves from paying taxes and allowing them to legally export the illegal cattle rearing operations, and about the bogus contracts that they are giving out to each other or to other family members. the amount of lands that they are appropriating onto themselves and their family members, and the millions and millions of dollars that they're paying for this no good piece of toilet land. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And at the end of the day, look at BTL right now. We brought that up a little earlier in the program. The Prime Minister and his family are trying to sell off. They are part of Smart, which now they don't control fully because Mr. Ashcroft swiped majority share away from them. So when it is said that the Prime Minister's family is going to end up probably with about $40 to $50 million out of the deal, it means Mr. Ashcroft will get a lot more than that as majority holder. So the settlement that the Prime Minister came to us and told us in the House of Representatives that he had settled, as in quotation mark, all accounts with Mr. Ashcroft. And he was impressing us that he got such a good deal and that we'll never see this man involved in our affairs anymore, and we ought to just declare happy riddance. The man is still running our affairs and benefiting from our affairs from behind the scene because he have all of them compromised at every step of the way. And I can go on. Look at this, how they call the pair that the trying to get
Commerce
right,
by.
the commerce right pair. It's all about friends and families locking down all the assets of the country under their control. When they leave politics, the country will be broke and they will have assets that's making money for them rather than making money for the treasury of the country. And they feel, or they pretend that they are so offended when I say that they are a bunch of kleptocrats and that they are a cabal of mobsters. Okay? The descriptive terms that are used for their behavior should be considered to be worse than their behavior. Get out of here with that. I yield back, Mr. Chair. Greg, do you have a last comment before I go to the other one?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go right ahead, sir.
You know, I had said before, whenever Blue gets in power, all they do is
Steal.
nationalize and privatize. And we are right back at it again. But what is so sad is when they want to retake something, how they use the taxpayers' money in the name of the taxpayers. And when they succeed in getting it back, all of a sudden you heard the word privatize again, private
Yep.
company.
Yep.
So that is telling me all our tax is good for is to reclaim what is inevitable, that it will again become privatized.
Under their control.
And that is what is happening, Mr. Wade.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Greg.
Yes, sir.
You hear this man, Mr. Chairman and Greg, you hear this man repetitiously says, I do not get in private business,
Laughable.
right? So that's a good word, laughable,
Hmm.
and he continued to do it. But I just hope and pray all these illegal and using his office for personal gain and all the things that he had done that is plain to be seen, that are seen, and the ones that are not seen. I just hope that one day that an entity is going to come and have him to give accountability, right? So on that, because this man is not going to stop at his evil ways. He's not going to stop. He's going to stop when he gets in front of a judge and he is found guilty. And as for the BTL deal, and the $28 shares, he only using that then he will say, you see, the Belizean people even had opportunity to buy shares,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the same thing he says, well, I had consulted the Belizean people, I had consulted, so this is what I end up with, and this is what I going to do because I have consulted. So you see, this man, you know, I wouldn't say the man is a genius, Mr. Chairman, but I can't even come with the word.
He's slick. He's
Yeah,
slick.
slick. So for Belizean, the man slick. So give it a couple more months, he gonna say, you know what? So much Belizean buying to the $28 share, and this is the deal, done deal, because even the Belizean people is okay with it, right?
More money out of the treasury.
Although it's not going to be so, it's not going to be so that the Belizean people, the poor people, bought it. No, but that's the line item so that he could get what he wants. That's the
Mm-hmm.
line item, and he's going to go to the house and say, done deal because of. So what have changed with this man? What have changed? And the repetitious behavior which he doesn't get involved in. So why you use public private? Why you use that word when you went to the house to acquire that land, right? Why and other things? Does the public have any say in that? Does the public getting anything out of that?
Uh, Mr. Wade,
So
can I know I have that bad habit of interjecting and sometimes I make you lose your thought. But I just want to say it. The man say he not get involved with private business. Why is he declaring all government telephone company after he stole the contracts and give it to his own family? He's declaring that all government owned, publicly owned asset is a private entity. How the hell did he get from where we were to the man need to go to jail, man.
no
Somehow
said on
the
that.
guy need to end up
Back
in
to you,
jail.
Mr.
You know, back
Chairman.
to, you
No
know,
said
you,
that. No, no, no.
no, no,
Go
no.
ahead. We close that chapter, right?
Mr. Chairman,
Go
I
ahead,
That
sir.
want
guy,
to,
that guy.
I
Tell you.
want to show you how repetitious these guys are. I want you to listen to this, Mr. Chairman. And why am I doing this? I want you to see really the
Who this person is?
classification,
Really, who he is?
the classification of outsiders.
Oh
I
man.
will say it this way. You recall in a state of emergency, they had a clause in it that the court cannot give those young men that did not commit a crime that they pick up no bail.
Uh-huh.
Remember when Miss Fitz was on this show?
Mm-hmm.
Then they wanted to go to the 13th Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
No, I want to show the people at home and abroad something. And I want you to listen to what they say.
So yesterday we had the opportunity to walk through Belize City on the invitation of the Commissioner of Police. He had members of the Leadership Intervention Unit and members of the GI3. He was explaining his crime fighting strategy and he was demonstrating this to us on the ground. So the minister and myself had the opportunity to walk through some of these gang-ridden areas. We were able to
I stop it right there. Gang ridden areas
One word,
are
profiling.
classified where the whole place is being
Praise.
set up. Where is this man getting these words from? Gang ridden areas. But yet the citizen of Belize can walk through these areas because this is only between allegedly called gang members. Now, if you, as the new head of police, Minister of Home Affairs, is specifying this, then how come your boss, the Prime Minister, wants to open the free zone for the public to go shop there when the cartel is more dangerous than the Southside people. Make it make sense.
Reframing the narratives with the
Make
same
it
end
make
objective.
sense to me. Which one is worse? You had to go to the house and get $1 million to help protect from cartel. You have even get 50,000 to protect outsiders and gangbanging. So make it make sense. But this is the narrative that they're spilling about outsiders. I go to you, Mr. Wade.
And quickly, Mr. Chairman, let me and I only say this. Do you see where they took him? Do you see where the first place they took him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, say no more. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Any more comments on that particular point? I was about. We're getting close to closing time.
Right.
So, okay, let me one more thing on that.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead.
maybe, Mr. Chairman, before or for the Christmas holiday, they might move on into Orange Walk, Tongue, right? And then into Corozal and then into the free zone. I'm just saying, right? Because they're gonna move from gangs to cartel. So,
Long overdue. Long overdue.
but I wasn't
Because
trying to be sarcastic, though, Mr. Chairman. You see the narrative, right, Greg and Mr.
Yes,
Chairman? You see the
yes,
narrative, right?
yes. That's
Good.
why I brought it up.
Thank you.
Because it's been so long now that people are hearing about the cartels. You went and got $1 million, right? And now, since you got a new Minister of Home Affairs, you seen them out there putting a house for BDF and all that. You trying to classify it as safe now. So you want people to go there. You trying to use the reverse psychology because you know exactly what was happening, but yet you are not preaching the same narrative you preaching on Southside. Why don't you make a 13th Amendment for the cartels in the free zone?
uh,
Why?
oh, sorry. Go ahead,
I
sir.
go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Sad.
I want to stipulate this here and now again. Piggybacking on the $1 million that you brought up, that was discussed long ago. That money was appropriated in the House, legally authorized, and as of today's date, I don't recall any receipts being shown as to where that money went, what it was used for, what guns, what ammunition was provided to the police force or the security forces, whether it be BDF or it be Coast Guard or whomever. Okay? But at the end of the day, even if that 1 million had been 1 billion, okay, which sounds kind of, extremist, right? From 1 million to a billion, that's incomprehensible. But let's say it was $1 billion that was appropriated, that we had such a luxury or such an opportunity to do so. Even $1 billion would not have been able to be enough to fight the cartels. Mexico has been fighting the cartels for what? A few decades now, right? Hundreds of thousands of deaths, civilian deaths, as well as cartel members among themselves and military personnel with high power, weapons, coordinated effort by the military and the navy of the Mexican government. We in Belize, even if we put all of we security personnel together, we could never match 1/10 of what Mexico is doing in terms of trying to fight the cartel. If we take all our security system individual security personnel individuals and put the Coast Guard to run the rivers put the BDF and the police, you know, as a security cordon in the free zone and along the river. We still cannot contain what's going on up there because what's going on up there comes with the blessing from the highest level and authority and power in the country, which is why that the level of authority and power in the country was pulled in by the U.S., charged the affair, and put on notice as regards to our government involvement in part of a territory that was being subordinated to the interests and well-being of the cartels, with all state powers behind it. And then they come out and try to tell the people a bull story there that doesn't matter, measure up. Okay, we could never contend with and or go up against the cartel to do proper security because we don't have the means, we don't have the personnel, we don't
But
have the knowledge, the ability, we don't have nothing that it takes to be able to. Because bigger country than us, who have all those things, have not been successful. I yield, Mr. Brackett.
thanks, Mr. Chairman. But let's look at the ludicrous part of that statement. We just recently heard what the Coast Guard had to say. They said they have been patrolling, and now, since they are patrolling and they are intact with what they are doing, they are stopping, they are stopping 75% of drugs crossing the river.
Nonsense.
Now, if I was to believe that, I would say, wow, they are really doing their job. And why am I saying this? You have checkpoints. You taking away little things that Belizean go shop and is trying to bring in. Taking it away at this time of the year. And you say the Coast Guard is doing a marvelous job. Then how come you can't stop the Belizean sugar being shipped contraband into Chetumal that is being sold for less than the one over there? Because definitely, if you are doing such a good job at 75%, you would see that sugar going across.
Exactly.
Or maybe you only looking out for what is coming over. To me, that's the only reason. Go ahead,
And
Mr. Wade.
and guys, Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Chairman, and Greg, I would say that is one of the business of the cartel. Sugar. They are into sugar. You never hear, like you said, they never stop them. But we see who they stopping, right? Or who they, you know, we see who are the one that has been penalized with their little items coming over into Belize because they cannot afford to buy it in Belize, my good friends, right? But that is what they are cracking down on. And they use the cartel name when they set up this new checkpoint in the north there now, and they gave them an ATV. That's a big deal. That the ATV and the bikes and what they gave and what they gave him will stop the cartels, right? Just imagine with these. Where do these guys come from? But there you are. We have them. And it's a big deal, Mr. Chairman. The cartel is under control now because of that. They're doing
But
a very good
Mr.
job.
Wade,
Thank you.
Mr. Wade, you heard what they are saying. The reverse psychology, the narrative. The BDF will be stationed there. The BDF cannot even prevent the Saratoon, much less as the cartel, who is highly equipped with weapons worse than the Guatemalan soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
They know these things.
So guys, I said I had comment on that quickly. I say, at the end of 2026, I want them to come to the Belizean people and the nation and tell them how many cartels they had captured, right? And how many Belizeans that have been penalized through that little checkpoint there and caught with their little items.
Uh,
Say
they
no
don't
more.
want too many Belizeans going up to the free zone, okay, to start with, because they don't want people to see the development that's going on in terms of those big, massive warehouses that are being built up there, to which these trailers dock at those warehouses, deliver goods, and remove goods.
True on that.
And
I can
those goods,
I have some pictures on that, Mr. Chairman, but I'll keep them. Go ahead.
yeah, but I'm talking about what I saw and what I know. I know what I'm talking about, so I could open my mouth and talk.
There you
Of
go.
course, everything you need to talk and mention about, because sometimes, you don't want to cross the wrong wires. Like what Mr. Mai said,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Those people are treacherous people, and they don't care. You see what they do to Mexico. That's what he was telling us in Belize. Of course, we see what they do to Mexico. So we as little Belize should be trembling in our boots.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
intent of the statement, right?
Exactly.
And then they come and tell us, okay, we're going to give you permission now for you go patronize the cartel. Then. Forget about your local police and stores, then, right? That we supposed to be, the government is supposed to be helping for them to become successful.
By the way, I asked you, Mr. Chairman, quickly, is that going to be a one-day thing? How you read into that? A one-day thing for the cartels, or for the big business in the free zone, or the Belizean people will profit?
Uh, the idea is that
What
they
you
are trying
think?
to convey the impression that they are trying to be lenient to the Belizean people and help them stretch their dollars. The money that the
Oh man.
cartel makes in the free zone and the money that the free zone people they make doesn't get spent in Belize as a country, any of the different districts or whatever. None of that money goes back to to the government. None goes to the government coffers. The government is not even collecting taxes or nothing up there. No duties, no taxes, no nothing. It's not contributing to the economy. So how you want to deprive the local economy of that money by inviting the people to come and spend and buy stuff that is duty free and tax free and all kind of other free, and you can't afford that privilege to your local Belizean business them. Explain that to me. Uh, Greg, could you take over and then you and Mr. Wade close it off? I need
Well,
to.
we're at that closing time, so
Yeah,
Mr.
just
Wade,
go
can
ahead.
you go ahead, please?
Thank you, dear Greg, and it's always a pleasure to sit in your company, my brother, and I just hope that our program, sheds some light and to the listening public. These are things that we have been talking about, Greg, for some time now. And we continue to bring it out because it continue to happen, continue to happen. Um, if it would have been like, we talked about it and they had stopped doing what we were talking about, we wouldn't be here talking about the same thing again. But these guys, they don't want to do better, right? They just want to continue in their old ways. And like I says, the two-party system, not only the PUP when they're in government, you might see worse when the UDP in government. So it's this is where they have us. So all I say is that I just hope and pray that one day a new entity comes in and govern and change all these illegal laws that they make and return back the country back to the people, return the constitution back to the people, and where the people had heard to the constitution, right, of our country, and bring back some normalcy to the Belizean people and the country. So there's a lot to be desired right now on this PUP government. And before we close, like I would like to say that to the Prime Minister Johnny Briceño, you mentioned that we will do redistricting. You will do redistricting in 2026. But then you went with another. You say words of meaning. Johnny Brisenio. You say at one point you say we will start. See, you're a very tricky man, right? So at the end of 2026, when you haven't completed, you will say, no, I didn't say that we will do it. No, I said that we will start it. I didn't say we will finish it. See, this is exactly what the hell you're going to come back and tell the Belizean people. So you have two words out there, Mr. Brisenio. Please come to the Belizean people and tell them which one you're going to be serious about. Start it or do it. That's all I'm saying. It's a process that is long overdue. We don't want to see another election without redistricting is finished.
You have another Christmas song, or you want to play the same one?
So,
we close
on that note, I'm Greg. Thank you. I'm Greg.
Okay,
I'm Leonard, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for such a educational program here tonight. And I just hope that my Belizean people at home and abroad celebrate responsibly, and just do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade. Thank you, Greg. Wonderful program. I'd just like to say, may God bless you guys and the rest of your family, and I hope you all have a wonderful Merry Christmas, and looking forward to a wonderful, successful New Year. And since we are on the house cleaning affairs and we're not off the program, at least for the benefit of everybody on the show, I think we could still go ahead and do maybe the Monday night program, Greg, if you're available, or I could take it up for you. And we could probably do the Wednesday night program, but the Friday night program for next week, we will leave that alone until some other time, because we need to take a little time off for the family,
Wednesday night program will be Christmas Eve. Wednesday is the 24th, Thursday is Christmas Day.
Okay.
So I think Monday night will be the last.
The last one then, Monday.
Monday should be put out as a Christmas program. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So that's a notice for listeners and viewers as well, why we're trying to do it here now on the show before we finish, that they can be appraised of that as a reality. Thank you very much. And let me yield back to you, Greg.
Thank you. With that said, I want to say good night to you, the people at home and abroad. And again, thanking you for tuning in to this, the 377th edition of Belizean Affairs. With that said, good night. I want to leave you with you.
Pretty paper, pretty ribbons of blue. Wrap your present to your darling from